My name's Alec Mackey. I'm Director of Communications for CWA. This is a fun, relaxed meetup, so fire away with those questions at any time. With me today are some leading experts on water careers. We have special guests from the city of Riverside. Today, I'll be talking with Kylie Wynn, a lab analyst at the city of Riverside, Ivan Corona, pretreatment inspector for the city of Riverside, and a very special guest, Melita Caldwell-Betties from San Bernardino Valley College is with us. Thank you so much for being here with us on World Water Day. We really appreciate it. Let's get a quick intro. Melita, what is your current title and what's your water job?
Well, my water job, I am training the next generation of water technicians. I am a associate professor for San Bernardino Valley College. I am also the faculty chair of the program, and I also teach for Mount San Jacinto College as well, too. I'm department coordinator, so I'm the academic consultant for water in the Inland Empire.
That's a lot of hats, Melita.
Thank you.
Over to you, Ivan. What is your job title and your water job?
So my job title is Environmental Compliance Inspector, working for the City of Riverside Environmental Compliance Department.
Great. And Kylie?
I also work for the City of Riverside. I am a laboratory analyst, too.
Fantastic. And I should give some background. Melita, you're also a formal plant operator, a wastewater operator, and what other job titles have you held?
Well, yes, I am. I got exposed to the industry back in the 90s. They sound ancient, but I'm not. But anyway, fortunately for me, I had a very forward-thinking general manager who really wanted to push women into the industry. He was interviewing and trying to find a position to be filled. I interviewed for the position as a water reclamation plant operator, and it was the best decision I ever made. He told me that, it would require a lot of work. We'd be managing water and wastewater services, basically. But I'm so glad I took that career choice. In the industry, as you know, there's a lot of certification that is required. I was fortunate enough to be able to work my way from an operating training. Again, I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. Then work my way up to wastewater 1, all the way to 5, chief plant operator. Wow. When I ended my career in 2012, I was a chief plant operator for the Temecula Valley Water Reclamation Facility. So I'm excited because during that time frame, as a chief plant operator, I got invited to a meeting to be able to develop curriculum for Mount San Jacinto in its wastewater emphasis. Didn't know anything at that time with respect to what role it would play in where I am today. They asked us to write curriculum to start a new program, the Water Technology Program at Mount San Jacinto College. And get this, now once I wrote the curriculum, because wastewater is my emphasis, they asked me the golden question, well, can you teach it? And I go, you want me to stand in front of a bunch of people and teach all this stuff? But you know what? I'm glad I did, because in 2000, I started teaching. Here I am today in 2012. San Bernardino Valley College had a full-time position as a professor in water supply technology, and I'm so glad I made the decision at that time to retire from the industry. And that is what brings me here to now. So I have the exciting experience of being on the employment side, the career side. Yeah. And now I have the opportunity to teach the next generation of water technicians from an academic standpoint. So I love water. And as you can tell, I'm very passionate about the water industry.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I want to change. I want to make the changes.
Well, we want to get everybody in here, and you can see we kind of fall into these careers, and then you never know where it's going to lead you. That's a great career story. Kylie, how about you? What was your career journey into water?
In 2020, I had just graduated with my master's, actually the same week that the COVID lockdown happened. So I was struggling to look for a job, and I was willing to take anything in a laboratory. And I got hired at a contract lab, testing water and wastewater. And before working there, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. They just told me might smell a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. So yeah, I started working there, worked there for almost 2 years, and then the position at the city opened up, and I applied, and I've been with the city since 2022.
That's fantastic. And Ivan, how about you? How did you get in?
So similar to Melita, I actually had no idea of the existence of the trade until my really good friend, whose father worked at the agency I work for now, City of Riverside, for a really long time, asked me, well, what are you going to school for? And at the time, I was going to Cal State San Bernardino for environmental studies with an emphasis in conservation. And when I let him know that, he told me that there was an entire department at my agency dedicated to that type of work. And so from there, I made sure that any type of classes that I took were geared towards that. So when an opportunity arose at the agency, I made sure that I took full advantage. And I interned from May of 2023 until I was hired on and given a full-time position in December of 2023. And so it was a bit of a long battle in trying to secure a opportunity, but I think through having I would say, good work ethic and making sure that I was making a good impression on my now colleagues, that I would be able to be given a shot, and very thankful that I was able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. You say that's a long journey, but 6 months to me is like that. I think, our industry, bless its heart, we put people through long application processes. The city and municipality won't get back to you for 6 months, but that is a fantastic way to do it. Get that internship.
Absolutely.
Hustle,
Absolutely.
show them what you can do. I think we've got a wastewater operator and a teacher. We have a lab analyst. I don't know if people know what environmental compliance even is. What is this?
So my department has an emphasis on the wastewater that's generated on industries, on facilities, whether it be auto body shops, car washes, restaurants, and bigger industries that are in charge of making things that we use every day. And it's important because the wastewater that reaches the plant, if it is left untreated or goes without checking, which is what I would be doing, then there's large amounts of constituents that would cause harm to the plant's equipment, and ultimately put the people that work at the plant, like possibly the lab analysts or the operators, at risk. And so the Department of Environmental Compliance, the inspector role, we basically are the hands that reach out from the plant. We make sure that the places that are feeding into the plant are doing their job in making sure that what they're sending us isn't going to put us or the environment in harm's way before it reaches the plant.
Always proactive in this industry.
Correct.
And it's a lot of regulatory driven, tons of rules, but if we turn our back on people, they're gonna do bad stuff. So you are literally the face of the wastewater team there, going out, and they can't stop you from visiting the plant. You can visit them any time of the day.
Exactly.
It's a little, not cops and robbers, but kind of close. Particularly if you got to figure out where a bad slug of something came from.
Yes.
I think it's one of the best careers in water. It's so unique and interesting, and you're in the office, you're out in the field, you're dealing with district attorneys sometimes, or environmental crimes.
Yeah, if it gets to that point, there have been instances that at least I've been told about. I've never been personally involved in one. But the sampling that we do, the record keeping that we make sure is done effectively is very important, because if something were to happen in the future that affects the plant in a negative way, we have record of it, and we could use that in court if necessary. That's a great point, because we're very regulatory driven. Paperwork, deadlines. In the earlier panel, everything is on deadline. Applying for the college, applying for your certification, turning in the, there's some big environmental report that's due every February to the EPA, plus all the state water boards reports. Everything's deadline driven. But let's also talk about the things people need, which includes certifications. So Kylie, what's a certification, and why should someone obtain one?
CWEA offers certifications for lab analysts, operators, environmental compliance inspectors, and So it just kind of tests your knowledge on your field and shows that you're qualified to be in the position.
Yeah, yeah. And is it required for these roles or optional?
Yes, for ours it is required to at least have a grade 1. I actually just took my grade 3 a couple days ago and passed. So
congratulations!
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, if you choose to take higher levels of grade certifications, it's only beneficial to your movement in your career path.
Yeah, certifications in our industry is like a game of collecting them all. How many did you collect over your career, Melita?
Well, I'm certified in water treatment as well as water distribution and wastewater. I'm a grade 5 wastewater operator, and that's when you get to the levels of 5, because everybody knows, and on our side, on the water operations side, wastewater side, there's 5 levels of actual certification. But one thing I want to make clear, and it might not have been said with respect to certification, there's a difference between what we offer at the college, which is academic certification. We're giving the subject matter content so students can have the information that aligns with the required knowledge offered by the State Water Resources Control Board that leads to actual industry certification. And as we know, you said earlier, to be in this industry, you must be certified. So I just want to get that clear. Then also what we do on the academic side, I want to get that clear too, is that we provide that water supply technology certificate, water supply associate's degree, and those are things that, like you said, with respect to enhancing your chances, with respect to gaining foot in the career. I like to say getting your foot wet in the water industry.
There you go.
But those are things that make you more attractive and marketable to the water agencies. And our classes consist of the bevy of environmental regulatory compliance, instrumentation, wastewater treatment, water distribution, water conservation, backflow. I'm going to get into our baccalaureate program shortly, but you see we try to offer from the academic standpoints multiple entry points for students that are very motivated and want those careers in the water industry. And we're trying to serve the water agencies meeting their workforce demands as well too. So that's my certification.
It's so important to collect your certs. As Kylie said, they might be required. They can also just demonstrate that you're willing to go above and beyond, that you're ready for the job or you're ready to be promoted. So always be collecting those certifications. Water efficiency actually has one. And I should really emphasize that these are legal requirements for the state water operators and for the agencies if they require a voluntary one. And these are high honor when you obtain them. These are not easy tests. And it's because it is a proof of your entire body of knowledge. Like in your head, not in my head, in your head is all of this regulatory and wastewater knowledge. And so when you obtain these certifications, it is quite a high honor. Go for them. Get your certs. So you mentioned the bachelor's degree. Our industry is in a huge workforce shortage. Everybody is moving up quickly. You know, they need to upscale. Tell us more about San Bernardino Valley College's bachelor's program and why it's important for water professionals.
Well, right now we're working with the State Chancellor's Office, communicating with the University of California as well as Cal State universities as well too. We've got provisional approval of the baccalaureate program to be taught at a community college. I'm going to say probably we're the first at a community college with respect to the water industry, but I'm really excited from the standpoint of a little bit of my educational background. I have a bachelor's in business and management, and I also have a master's degree in public administration with an emphasis on water resource management. And when I was coming through in the 2000s, like I said, teaching, it was taught at the Water Resources Institute, which is currently housed at Cal State San Bernardino. Well, they got rid of that program.
Oh.
And then here, like I said, I'm on the academic side, and I really want to prepare these students, these new people, so when they're training for the next jobs in the current generations that's coming. And I said, why don't we consider, State Chancellor's Office was saying, well, we can offer baccalaureate programs at the community college level. Let's write one. And that's what we did. We got with give Mr. Mackey credit. He was on our board, advisory committee, kind of supporting us with respect to what we needed to do. And what we're trying to do, again, is like we're talking about water resource management. A lot of the bachelor's programs out there are more specific for environmental engineering. We talked about that earlier. Hydrology, geographical information systems. But what we wanted was to give our community, our upcoming trainees that are operators and trainees that may be looking for future leadership roles in the organizations. We wanted to prepare them for those senior management type positions that's going to be available. And as we know, the senior management positions, they're managing the water resources. They have the support staff there, geographic information systems or hydrology, but what they really want to do is to train and be able to make that organization viable to meet the needs, have that certain customer service level to make sure that they can provide that uninterrupted water service or that continuous clean, potable supply of water. So that's what we're doing at Valley, and I'm really excited about it. Like I said, it's provisional approval, but it's a step in the right direction for those that are interested and motivated, and I'm sure other folks on my panel was saying, like when you entered the industry, it was kind of finding that niche to get that right education so you can find yourself set up for that particular position that you sought. So that's what we're here for. Academia is on board with it.
Always keep learning. In our industry, the opportunities pop up. The promotional leadership manager, all of a sudden one day, she or he will say, that's it, I'm done, I'm retiring. And that opportunity is now available. You need that bachelor's degree ahead of time. So always be collecting them. Well, what other skills and personal attributes, Ivan, I'll ask this one to you. What skills and personal attributes do you believe are important for a water professional?
I would say, at least for my specific role, the environmental compliance inspector wears a lot of hats because they actually have to go out and let these agencies or the EHS departments of these agencies know what has to be corrected. And sometimes that isn't always met with the most pleasant interactions, but being that you have to have that social skill of being able to speak in a firm but informative way to these agencies so that way they can get back in compliance and that way nobody has any issues moving forward.
Yeah, good communication skills actually is universal. But I get to stay at a desk. You've got to be right there in front of them. That is a lot of pressure. Let's see. What about science or math? What skills are you from college are you using right now a lot?
So some of the courses that I took in college, they focus on being precise and making sure that whatever measurements are being taken out in the field from sampling are correct. Because if you're off even by an inch, a centimeter, it could throw off what the sample's supposed to say. And so it is also our job to make sure that the information we are presenting for the lab analysts is accurate. And so being punctual and making sure that you have a good idea of what it is that you need to do when sampling is also very important. Yeah.
That's true. You know, it's a regulatory driven industry. I remember somebody telling me that we can't use pencils because all of these documents become an official record, and the state will, when something has gone bad, the state will go back and look at all those records. So all of our names are on the line, which brings up we are all working as a big team to get this right. What about, let's go to roles and responsibilities. So in the lab, Kylie, what does your week kind of look like? What do you do day to day?
Every day we receive samples from the plant, from various processes, influent, effluent. We also check the contact basin samples, primary effluents, and we do a variety of tests on those samples every day, just to make sure that everything in the plant is working as it should be. We also get microbiology samples and test those to make sure that the water that we're saying is clean, reclaimed water actually is. So, And we also work hand in hand with EC when they go out and take samples from different industries. They'll bring the samples to the lab and we will take them and do whatever analyses that they're asking for on their chain of custody.
Yeah. You're really that stamp of approval, sort of the last check that things are good to go, or operators, you've
Yes.
got something going wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
There's technology changes rippling through our industry like crazy. I know the state is looking at compounds of emerging concern like PFAS or microplastics. We're talking at the parts per trillion.
Right.
Stuff you can't see in a microscope. How do you see technology sort of changing the future of our industry?
I think a lot of manufacturers that make the different instruments that we use in the lab are realizing that we need to see down to smaller levels. So they're trying to change their instrument so that we have a capability of seeing analytes at a smaller level. So that way we can have pretty sound detection limits for different analytes.
Yeah. And then these machines need to be calibrated and tested. There's an entire procedure before you even get to the test, right?
Right. Yeah. Calibration, sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's monthly, depending on the instrument that you're using. But we're always checking to make sure that everything is as it should be before we run our samples.
Yeah, very cool. Because if you're off just a bit, you're not going to hit the target. Let's see, challenges and solutions. Ivan, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your career, and how'd you overcome them?
I would say at the start, because I did not know of the existence of the position or the department, is being exposed to it all.
Yeah.
Because of the specific role that I have, we're responsible for a lot. And so being able to manage all of those responsibilities and make sure that they're being done in an efficient way, effectively, I would say is one of the bigger challenges that I face, that I'm still learning, but progressing in the right direction. Yeah. I would say is another one would be the remembering.
Yeah.
Because of how much you're being exposed to. These are things you have to study, and hence why the certification program is so important, because receiving that lets whoever it is know that's looking at your resume, so to speak, is saying, okay, they went and did their due diligence, got these certifications, they went out of their way to make sure that they were ready to do any type of job that is required by this
Absolutely.
position. Yeah. Being able to learning how to de-escalate certain scenarios when you're talking with other agencies. Again, wearing the hat of being a good, impressionable person while doing your job at the same time. You have to make sure that you're honing both of those skills while you're out in the field.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I called environmental compliance one of the most interesting and unknown, but it's also, to me, one of the frightening because I saw the Ken Carey book on pretreatment inspector.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phone book, and they literally want you to memorize like every regulation, like EPA biosolids and pretreatment, and state this. And I mean, you have a lot of knowledge in your head, sir.
Yeah, and that's really only talking about at the CWEA level.
True.
There's other agencies that have entire municipal codes that are only specific to that agency. Absolutely. That is an operation that you're working at. So being able to differentiate the two is also very important, because what's allowed in maybe other agencies or jurisdictions may not be allowed in yours. And so I think that is also very important. And talking with other agencies about those things, being able to share information, so that way maybe something that was being overlooked somewhere else can now be looked at under a microscope, whereas another agency was already doing that. So kind of helping each other out in that sense.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not only a big team in the district, like the city of Riverside, but it's also a big water family, your fellow water districts.
Right.
And I think it's really important, hopefully this rings true, is that you can learn all of this, and that, but like you said, leaning on other people, asking them questions.
Definitely. Having a good support system where you work is very instrumental to actually being successful and having making progress at the job. When you're new to something, the people who teach you, the way in which they teach you is so important. And I'm very fortunate to be able to say that where I work, the department that I work in, the people I answer to, they're always willing to help. They're always ready to have information just at your disposal. So definitely that was another thing, learning how to break old habits of, no, I can figure it out, and saying, no, I think I need help here is definitely a huge skill that I was able to pick up on.
Yeah, and it's so great to hear the leadership cultures across our agencies are doing really well. Great teachers and trainers. So, Melita, we're going through a workforce shortage, the silver tsunami, all those retirees, you and Mr. Parker leaving the industry. What is San Bernardino Valley College doing about the recruitment challenges, about getting more water workers?
Well, we're going out, we're talking to our industry partners. We've even gone out with respect to Inland Empire Works. There's a consortium, comes from the Bay Area. They're trying to do a model down here. We're partnering with them. Everybody knows Metropolitan Water District. We've got them under our radar with respect to supporting them and training the next generation. With respect to apprenticeships, we're pushing forward with trying to establish apprenticeships because, like I said earlier in my bio, that I came in as an operator in training, but people need to have not only the educational setting experience, but they all also need to have the hands-on experience. And fortunately, the initiatives at the state level with Governor Newsom is that he is supporting funding those initiatives on apprenticeships, and just trying to get a registered apprenticeship in the state of California is what we're working on with our partners as well too. And then also expanding our education. We've talked about the baccalaureate program. We added the instrumentation Mr. Parker is working on. Plant mechanical technologies is the one that we're looking at. And when you talked about certification earlier, the advanced treatment operator, that's a new certification. We're expanding our curriculum to include that. So we're out there talking to everybody, seeing what the industry needs, trying to develop that workforce to support the tsunami, trying to capture that lost knowledge that is leaving because of the retirees. And I'm openly always recruiting instructors because I shared with Alex earlier that the fact that I really want any academic program I build or get the support of the community, I want it to be taught by industry professionals who had their, I call them boots on the floor, or, got their feet wet. Those are the people that need to be managing these classrooms to be able to share that knowledge. And that's how we're going to capture that institutional knowledge that's leaving. Get them in that classroom so they can share. And then from sharing the theory, taking the classroom to the field, we have the cooperative work experience training. That's your internships, unpaid interns. But see, apprenticeships are a little bit different. It's you got a certain amount of related instruction that you're taking. There's a certain wage progression. We're talking from entry-level roles to journeyman level roles in the industry. And see, that's where the baccalaureate program is going to come in, because now when they become journeyman level, we call them incumbent employees. So they'll come back and get that training for those senior management roles that's going to be vacated when that institutional knowledge leaves. So even though they're leaving, we want them to come to academia and transfer that knowledge, and then have that new entry-level group become the future journeyman level or leaders of tomorrow.
We're recycling. And I think it's so important for people to always stay resilient in our industry. So apply to one job, apply to 10 jobs, apply to 20 agencies. We know as an industry we've got a little bit of a problem missing the internships and apprenticeships. But I think, as you said, across the state, the Bay Area and the Inland Empire here, the city of Riverside does internships, is some of the furthest ahead. But, we're still stuck with things. So people are going to ask, so how do I find an internship or apprenticeship? And I'll ask this to anybody.
Well, let me just share with you, again, communicating with our industry partners, seeing what their workforce challenges are. San Bernardino Water Reclamation is one that supports our program. City of Redlands. And what I really love, guys, is that, because I've been in the industry so long, I'm not trying to age myself, but a lot of my partners that I'm talking to, some of them are my former students who are now in leadership roles. And they really want to come back. They want to pay it forward. City of Redlands is a perfect example where we had a new manager and says, hey, Melita, I know. And what's beautiful, too, about them paying it forward, these are former students that went through the classroom. They were unpaid interns. They got into the industry, and now they've gotten that management role, and they say, hey, I know how it was. I want to nurture someone. I want to mentor someone. What can I do? And they're very, very receptive. San Bernardino Water Reclamation is a perfect example with respect to, we started partnering with them in 2013, and get this, 66% of the students that have partnered with us with respect to taking cooperative work experience, they're either were hired by San Bernardino or they're working somewhere in the industry. Wow. And that says a lot. That's why I'm very strong on that classroom internship model, classroom apprenticeship model. I just need that support of the community. We're trying to change the dynamics of the water industry, and then also to make sure that that workforce pool is right there. The water agencies don't have to do a big recruitment drive. When those positions come available, they have them trained from the standpoint of the academic side, subject matter expertise, but also we provided them that hands-on training. That's what we're trying to do. One-stop shop.
Oh my goodness, this is the answers that we need. So internships and apprenticeships, I would say don't hesitate to ask. Go on tours. You can tour the Riverside treatment plant when they have it scheduled, or San Bernardino or Metropolitan's Big Water, and then ask those operators, what about internships, apprenticeships, or student worker programs? They're all like little flowers blossoming. They're all around us. Ask Melita, ask your community college professor, or someone you know in the industry. We'll try to get a better board of internships and apprenticeships, but right now they are out there. Just keep asking and searching.
Can I just add one more thing, too? Something that we've done, because you asked that question. Yeah. We've even done, not for credit, or we've done non-credit classes that currently parallel our existing credits. So I'm encouraging people to look into that. That's a way, it's an overview of the subject matter knowledge that you might need in the industry, but it's another way to perhaps, I call it, get your feet wet, to find out about careers in water, water distribution, water treatment, wastewater, and then even water conservation as well too. And then if they take the non-credit classes, it's a bridge to maybe the credit classes. But again, everything that we're doing at the community college level, it's always in alignment with what the State Water Resource Control Board wants for an operator. So everything's in direct alignment. So I want to add that too.
That's great. And there are these resources out here. San Bernardino Valley College is a great one in this area. IE Works is also working with you and in this area. San Diego's Cuyamaca College with their giant programs. Bay Work is up in the Bay Area. And in the LAOC, there's going to be a new one, the Water Education and Environment Alliance. So more and more programs are popping up, so be sure to ask about them. But let's switch back to interesting things in our industry. Kylie, what are some interesting projects that you've worked on at the plant?
Recently, we are bringing another digester back online at the plant to be used for food waste. So they've been doing a lot of cleaning because it was not in use for a very long time. And so now that we're getting it back and ready to be used again, there's some additional sampling that we've been doing, just some work for the lab,
And it smells great, I'm sure. So we should probably be layman's terms easy and explain what a digester is and what food waste and co-digestion are. Do you have an easy answer for what digesters do? Melita might.
Melita might have a better understanding than I do.
You're going to love this when I describe it to you. I'm going to put it in really layman's terms. Well, okay. We know we eat, right? And it's going to go into our stomach. Well, I'm going to say a digester at a wastewater plant is basically a glorified stomach. It takes in all that food. And as we know, how it goes in ain't the way it comes out. Would you not agree? Okay, absolutely. So what happens is your body biologically decomposes it, and it changes it from a substance was food, take all the energy from it with respect to the using of the, I call it volatilizing it. That's a big word for what I'm trying to explain. But the whole point of it is when it comes out, it's a stable product. It is something that you can use for fertilizer, and also part of the process of it being biologically decomposed, you're going to have gas. We call that renewable energy. Now, if I put it to the human body, I want you guys to, on your own, kind of figure out where I'm going on that one, okay? But that's basically what a digester is. It is a critical, because you're removing the waste loads from the flow streams that's coming from that community. And we have the liquid waste that we can manage, but we still have to biologically stabilize the solid waste. And that's the device that's used. And that's why I was smiling when she said the fact that it hadn't been used in a while. And there's a lot of cleaning. And Alec here talked about the fact that it wasn't smelling very well, which kind of gives you a general idea of how it goes into our bodies. And the products coming from our body are similar to what's going on in that particular unit. And what you hear is the state. When I talked about the fertilizer, we're talking about, for example, I'm just giving an example, steer manure. You put that in your yard. Or the gas. There's actually a burnable gas that can be produced from what's being stabilized in a digester. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to get too gross in here. But anyway, but hopefully I've explained it to you so you get a general understanding what's taking place in that big cement tank.
Well, and for perspective, I always have to pitch people, oh, you work in wastewater. Oh, my goodness. How can you do that? It's a term I learned early on. It is the smell of a paycheck to many of us. But grease
smells like money to me. That's what we say.
That too. And so you do get used to it. You go a little nose blind, which can be tough on your spouse, but it's the paycheck. I think since we have both of you here and we have a little time, I think it'd be good to talk about microbes. Okay. Because this is what drives our entire industry. And talk about a hidden job. I don't think anybody knows the hidden microbes that are doing that. Do you have a favorite microbe, Kylie? And what are they doing in the process? How do you analyze them?
We actually don't.
The wastewater operators?
The wastewater operators look at the microbes.
Great.
At our plant.
I'll switch it over to Melita. Favorite microbe and what are they doing?
Well, when I talk to my students, I say, well, the true workers of the treatment plant are the bacteria. It's not the human staff. Those are the ones that are doing work, and you spend the majority of your time trying to cultivate the right bacteria to do the right job, to either stabilize that waste or to treat the waste. So when you talk specifically about microbes, I'll just go run off 5, and I'm going to tell you which are my favorite ones. Amoebas, ciliates, stalk ciliates, flagellates, and then you got the rotifers, and then you got nematode worms. My favorite ones, my true workers that I call the workers of my plant are the stalk ciliates. They're the ones that produce the best quality effluent. And believe it or not, if you look at them under a microscope, which she described earlier, they're basically chomping and eating on our food waste. So just like we have a need to eat, they have a need to eat. And when you cultivate the right ones, they're going to be eating all the time. And because they're eating it, they're turning that waste that might not settle into something that is going to settle. And that's how you get the liquids and the solid separation from water. And that's what we do on a daily basis. Keep them happy and working. One of the things I make a joke about, we don't want them to go on strike. So it depends on how you treat them. Because if they go on strike, they're not going to produce the best water. They don't produce the best water, you're going to have. This gentleman over here is going to be knocking at your door.
Yeah.
Does that summarize it?
Yeah. Basically,
okay,
yes.
That's what we do. Okay. All right, so this stalk ciliates. Stalk ciliates is the definition of microbes, and hopefully they will find tours will tell them.
I'm marketing and communications. I have to go with the water bear. I mean, it's the California, the tardigrade is, I don't know what it does in this. See, I am not a wastewater operator, obviously. When you become one, you're going to learn about all this science and studying these balances, because these bugs will also make hydrogen sulfide. I mean, they can tear apart the sewer, and it's the reason we keep grease out. Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the big indicators we look for prior to opening up whatever pretreatment device is on site for the facility. We have what are called gas detectors or gas monitors that measure specifically H2S. And when it's found in high amounts, what we have seen is it degrades and deteriorates whatever pretreatment device the facility may be implementing. And so something isn't right. Something is being discharged into this device in high amounts that is creating this hydrogen sulfide that shouldn't be happening. And so that's when we rely on the either EHS department of the facility, or if it's a standalone, we recommend to them to do an internal investigation and really figure out what could be the root cause of this problem to prevent the deterioration of your pretreatment, and in turn making it so that their effluent is a lot healthier or in better condition before it reaches the water control plant.
Yeah, absolutely. And the standards keep going up because I think Riverside is a water reuse facility. It's a membrane treatment. It's one of the highest levels of treatment to reuse that water. Well, let's go into suggestions. Everybody wants to get into this career path. So, Kylie, what advice do you give someone who wants to get into a water job?
I would say that if you are interested in working in water, to try to find an internship that is what you're geared toward, whether that be in operations with the OIT programs that they offer at different plants, laboratory, we have interns.
Nice.
Environmental compliance, like Ivan said, he was an intern, so it's possible to use an internship to get your foot in the door and build relationships that can lead to a position.
Fantastic. Start to explore this world. And I think one of the points you had is even contract. There are this whole family of private companies that are doing work within our industry.
Right.
You can get your foot in there as well.
Yeah, that's how I got into water, through contract lab, and a lot of people that I know in the industry came from either the same contract lab or other ones. So it's a good way to get a lot of experience through contract lab, because they're very busy.
The other thing I always encourage people is get your foot in any way you can. You know, you might want that full-time job or even need it, but do the internship, do the OIT. Maintenance laborer can even be a good way into an agency, because once you're in the door, they're going to cover all your training. They'll even, some agencies offer tuition reimbursement.
Yeah.
They have internal training programs. What are some of the benefits at the City of Riverside for continuing education?
So in my specific role, I am currently enrolled at California State Sacramento's water program for their inspection course. It is a requirement for my position, but it is also paid for by the agency. And it basically helps reinforce what is going to be on my certification exam. They kind of go hand in hand. And so being exposed to that and then using that material you're exposed to study for what will get you certified is just two hands that work very well together. And that was something that I also did not know when I first started, that it being a requirement, but because I did the time with being an intern and making sure that I could soak in as much information as I could while I was there, they let it be known, hey, this is a requirement, but you will have our help, and we will make sure that you only have success in moving forward with your education.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're a hidden industry, and some of the benefits within our profession are hidden, including education and tuition reimbursement. The agencies, and as a professional, we always want to be upskilling and learning, and we have to learn new things. Chime in on anything that's a hidden benefit in the municipal world. Many of us still have good retirement accounts. You have interesting schedules, unless you're a graveyard operator, but they got it, or a graveyard inspector. Those exist at LA County Sand. But good schedules. Some are on 410, some are on 980s.
980s, yeah.
Every other Friday off. What are some other hidden benefits in water?
Well, I like to refer to water as guaranteed employment. Would everybody agree?
That too.
The fact is that, okay, you can't program a machine to do what we do. And the other thing is, with respect to being guaranteed employment, it's not like you're going to find any other resource to replace it. And it's not like, okay, we're just not going to get this resource, or we're not going to find this resource anymore, because we all know within 72 hours we'd be all what? Dead. Okay, so that's why I love working in the water industry, and that's why I'm very passionate about it. The other thing I wanted to explain about multiple points into the industry is, the state of California is looking at, like I talked about, that non-credit courses that we're doing. Those classes are open entry, open exit. They're basically free. Other than paying a student fee, you can take them as many times as you want. And the way we've structured everything is that you're getting the knowledge. The knowledge does align with the actual State Water Resources Control Board's knowledge, skills, and ability. So that's a way, like I said, a bridge to get into the industry. But also, I mean, like I said, we teach treatment, distribution, collections, wastewater treatment, water use efficiency. Those are just 5 skill sets that you can enter by taking those classes. Walk out with a non-credit certificate, and you can use that. We know in our industry there's a lot of continuing education units. Yep. There's a lot of continuing education providers. The community college, Mount San Jacinto, as well as San Bernardino, we're considered specialized providers in which, the state, when you go apply for your licensing, because when you apply for your licensing, as we know, you have to prove you have the education. But those classes still qualify. And so you can use that to go sit for those exams. Another thing that we do is, even if you still, because we talked earlier about certification being critical in the industry, we also have refresher classes. So we're trying to make sure that once you step into our doors, that you're going to be successful. Anything we can do academically to support you with that career that you want in the industry, and setting up that academic along with career plan. So that's another way that we do, as well as multiple ways to get into the actual industry.
Yeah. And once you're in the industry, like we said, your education is basically covered. They're also going to cover, once you get the certification, a little tricky, you got to pay the exam and the computer processing fee yourself. But once you obtain that certification, that agency is going to cover everything for you. And typically there's an admin who handles your renewals. Yes. So once you're in, and they'll also, I should have thought of this before, they'll cover your professional association. CWA is one of the professional associations, but there are multiple. There are laboratory associations, there are groundwater associations, there are environmental regulatory associations, there are associations for associations, but they're going to cover those professional fees for you as well, and occasionally send you to a conference. It's a bit of a competition to see who goes, but that's what we love to see, everybody, and build that water family.
And let me add one other thing too. When you're inside the agencies, your certifications, even if, because I know you were set with yours, it was required for your position, but a lot of agencies will pay incentives. You'll get additional increases in pay, increases in salary, because you have higher level of certification than what's required to do your job. So it's a win-win. You cannot lose. With respect to careers in the industry, I love working in water. Be it training, be it joining the professional associations, which has training as well too. Like you said, the fact that you are, got that knowledge or whatever, it is a very good selling point, and this is a resume building as well too. And don't forget, teaching is another aspect as well too. Don't forget that professional expertise that you're earning on the job. When you get older, we're gonna know that, or just looking for another career. Teaching is another aspect, and this is another thing I want to share with you, what I tell my students as well too. A lot of students, just like you said, they don't know water. So a friend of a friend told them to take this class, and then they get motivated and excited. But I tell them, maybe you might be an electrician. And they say, well, I don't really want to take this class because I'm just here to get my college credit, and I'm just going to continue an electrician. I say, I tell you what, take the class and go get the cert. You never know. Yeah. Because in that career you're chosen in, you can get laid off or whatever, but you go and get that certificate, and later on, and keep that certificate. Later on, there might be a career that you might want to work in water, and now you have that extra skill set, which is electrical, which is a support skill, mechanical, support skill, maybe operating heavy equipment, or even doing something like geographical information system, which is very popular as well too. GIS. You have ancillary skills that you can partner with that certificate, and now have an entry point into the industry and have a rewarding career.
Right. Sold. I think the other lesson that I learned as CWA runs conferences, workshops, is if you want to learn something, teach. Because obviously if you're going to teach it, you're going to have to know it inside and out. So, and we have a lot of people who just one day, I don't know what the switch is, but they're like, I'm going to give this teaching thing a try, and man, are they passionate about it. It's amazing to watch people throughout their careers. So we're coming up on time, but I did want to ask you, Melita, best piece of advice you've heard?
Like it's a hidden trade. It's not advertised. Nobody wants to go to school and become I'll be honest with you, a poop plant operator. I'm just being honest. But once you get in and you see how rewarding it is, because it's a public service. It's an essential public service. Yeah. And each day, your performance results is responsible for uninterrupted water service and also safe drinking water for that customer. So to me, that social responsibility and social justice, that is what gives me the motivation to be the best that I can when I was an operator. And that's why I want to be the best that I can in teaching my students, because what I share with them, it's going to be their impact on the communities and that social system that we're trying to serve. So they can get that level of social responsibility. So that's how I look at it.
Well said. I love it. I love it. Ivan, what about you? How about this? What is one thing you wish people knew about our industry?
I would say that if you have the work ethic of being able to say, I'm going to give this a shot, an honest effort, you would be surprised at how many doors will open for you, solely based on being professional when it's supposed to be and being ready to, as Melita said, getting your boots wet when it's time. Yeah. Because something is simple. You could teach something that is very hard to somebody, and if they have a good work ethic, it's a lot more manageable for the people that are trying to teach you how to do something to actually do it. Absolutely. So I would say if you are genuinely interested in getting into this type of trade, regardless of what role it is that you play, bring a good work ethic, because the people that are above you that you'll be answering to, they had that and are expecting nothing less.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and I think with the retirements and the new technologies, everything that's driving our industry, you can go as far as you want to go in this industry. Yep. You can, like Melita, you can rise to the very top if you want to. You can stay in your single role in a lab or out in the field as a compliance inspector. But there is so much opportunity. Put that hustle, that work. Yes. You can go as far as you want to go. Mm-hmm. Kylie, how about you? What's one thing you wish people knew?
I guess I wish people knew that there is a water industry that has so many different paths in it that you can take advantage of and, be part of this community. Like you said, it's small, and that's another thing too. I guess people don't realize because they're not in it that it is small. And once you do become a part of it, you can, network and learn a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't be afraid of us. We're really friendly. We are a wonderful family. We're the One Water family. I don't think we've met in person, but it feels like we've known each other forever. But never hesitate to ask a water professional for advice, suggestions, a connection. You'd be surprised how many people we know and how we can help you. So this segment was filmed here at the Desi House in Eastvale. We're going to go now to the live Q&A section.